have more transparent conversations about how we're overcoming adversity. It makes us, one, feel as if we're not doing this alone. And two, it makes us feel more human instead of shaming ourselves into things that thinking that things are not working. So I just want to say thank you for everyone tuning in today. Today we're going to be having a very awesome, amazing conversation. I have a great guest. His name is Wendell, and he's going to give you more information about who he is. But when I first met him at a networking event, because on this channel, I always talk about the importance of networking and the importance of getting out there, not just hermiting in your home, but getting a chance to know the people that are in your local community. And so today we're going to be talking about how to overcome the odds and adversity that sometimes we face, but how we can use that as part of our story when it comes to being a successful business owner. So thank you so very much for being a guest today.
Awesome. Well,
So
thank
tell
you.
people a little bit about who you are.
Yeah. So, well, first of all, thank you for having me. I'm grateful for this opportunity to share a little bit about myself and where I came from, and the adversities that I had to go through, and how it led me to where I am today. So, thank you so much for this platform and all the work that you're already doing. But I guess a little bit about myself. So, my name is Wendell John Jules. I am personally a business growth coach, a a public speaker, an author, and then also serial entrepreneur. I own a few businesses, but one of my main business that I do own is called WJJ Brands, and that is a international business development and full service marketing agency where we essentially help people start, grow, and scale their business while helping them also build an online presence. A lot of what we do is through helping them with building strategic marketing strategies, business plans, anything digital from lead generation to SEO, graphic design, social media marketing, and really just trying to empower people as much as we can. And through that, one thing I know we will talk about today is going to be obviously my Elise Legacy program, which is basically a nonprofit version of my current business where we actually go out and we support young adults from the ages basically from the grades of 11th grade all the way throughout college, and provide free resources to really support them in their entrepreneurial journey. So
Yes, and so now you're probably like, oh, I see why she probably have him come and talk because it's one of those things that for people that don't know who I am as well, my name is Jessie Gary. I have been in the entrepreneur space for now over 14 years. And on this channel, I love talking about all of the unsexy things about entrepreneurship. Like you can go on any other channel to get all of the clickbaity things and the things that are helpful in certain aspects of business, but also there's a place for us talking about real topics like this, or when we're talking about structures and systems, that also has a place. And I think sometimes that's not what we hear often about. So that's what we talk about mostly on this channel. So when we met and he was telling me a little bit about his story, I think that it's so phenomenal because I think that sometimes we don't always take the time to go and help others, or because we think that magically once we get to Oprah status, then something comes up and resonates inside of us. Like, you know what? Now I want to help people. Like, you can start helping people where you are right now. So I'm ready to really dig into this conversation. So the first question I do have for you is like, what is the biggest challenge you have faced with actually getting into entrepreneurship?
um, the biggest challenge, I guess, there were a few, right? So obviously, like finding, where do you belong, right? In the entrepreneur world, right? I think there's so many businesses out there. There's so many people that do similar things, that in the marketing space, whether it's graphic design, web design, or just really strategy. And part of that was really just trying to figure out what is your voice, right? And how do you want to align really your full vision, and making sure that the vision that you have for yourself, aligns with, you know, how you service your clients, and those that are not clients of yours as well. So that challenge was really just trying to figure out, like, okay, how do I make the two happen, right? And align with each other. So that was probably one of the first challenges that I had to experience, as I was going into that transition of really finding myself, finding and understanding who I am. You know, what are the strengths that I have? What values can I provide? And taking all those things into consideration to figure out, okay, how do I create something that could really make an impact. So that was really one of the biggest challenges. And I would say, to answer your part of how did I overcome that, probably like
Value with inside of business, but sometimes I think that we don't always understand how sometimes our past impacts how we even view ourselves in the now and what we're going to do. Um, Share a little bit about like how some of your past may had even just was a barrier to even seeing yourself in the way that you wanted to, or it actually supported the way that your values were aligned.
Yeah, definitely. So growing up, I'll give you a little bit about my background, just to kind of give some context. So I was born and raised in Boston. Both, obviously, my parents were Haitian, so I consider myself Haitian American. But I grew up with a single parent. So, and my mother, she raised, you know, three kids. One, my sister passed when I was just about to turn 4. My mother, I lost her when I was 13. My grandmother, who was very close to me as well, lost her 2 years later. So growing up, you know, and also feeling like, hey, you know, I didn't really have a male or father figure because he chose not to um, be present in my life, and really just taking on the responsibility of knowing, like, hey, like, I have to take control at a young age of where I want to go. And I know it was obviously a bit heavy now that I think about it, but during that time, these kids came up, they embraced me, they hugged me, and then I had this one little boy who was just crying, and he was just like, you know, I want to be just to my in my own head. I'm just like, I don't know if you want to go through what I've been through, but I appreciate that you feel that way. And he was just like, no, like, I am going through everything that you're going through. Like, he lost his older sibling. He was adopted by his aunt. Him and his aunt adopted him and his little sister. Didn't have a father. Like, and literally, I was just kind of that fresh breath of life that just happened to just show up and be there. And it was a confirmation to him, but also to me as well, that, you know, life is more than obviously what's in our own mind, right? I know sometimes we go through things in life, um, and sometimes they seem to very difficult, very challenging, and we never would ever think that that should be happening in our lives, right? But when it does happen, sometimes we get in our own space and feel like we're the only people that's going through it, right? But then when you realize, like, you know what, life is crazy. There's other people probably going through this, and I'm probably not the only person, or there's people going through something just as worse, right? Getting to the next place in their life or in their business.
And I love your share because I think that sometimes there's this perspective that people that are able to have success or persevere, it's because they've had everything just be easy or it's given to them. Like I feel like those can be falsities that are just spread. And because one, we don't have, I feel like we don't have a lot of people that are always sharing the transparency of their road.
Yeah.
Granted, I do feel like maybe the generation before, like we know Oprah used to walk barefoot, like we
Yep.
know certain stories, but I think we just forget, like, because she's older now, we don't realize how much she struggled to even get to where she is at. And I think because some of the newer individuals that have more limelight, they don't share that part of their life. So what happens is, yes, they have. It may not be the exact formula, but it's something that people go through. And I definitely find that this is something that impacts entrepreneurs because of what they sometimes see on social media, like even statistically on what the average businesses make when they're under 100 or over 250,000 a year, like those numbers. So what happens is that someone will think, oh, because my business didn't do $1 million this year, I'm failing, and not realizing like 1% of people have businesses that make over that. So allowing yourself grace to learn instead of giving up, because sometimes like with your background as well as I have a background that I've experienced different adversities as well. Is we understand that as long as I don't give up, like I legitimately have right here on my driver's force says, I will not settle, go after it. Like
Mm-hmm.
vindictive space, it's more like you can't, yeah, yeah. Like it's like you can't speak death over my life and what I can do. Like I've been like God has called me through so much and I am not going to quit now. So I think that that's something people have to resonate with.
Yeah, so one thing that I'll throw out there, which is actually one of my favorite quotes, is that even broken crayons crayon, right? Still
Mhm.
color.
Yeah,
So even broken crayons still color, right? And the reason why that's one of my favorite quotes is because at the end of the day, right, we all at some point in life get broken down, right? Life
yeah,
hits us, something happens. We get to a place where we feel like, you know what, are we even still good anymore? Are we even still right destined to be here? Or is there even more life outside of what I'm doing?
mhm,
And sometimes you just have to look within and realize that and a lot of times, really outside of your spiritual belief, I feel like God's in control, but at the same time, you do, He's given us free will, right? So we do have free
mhm,
will to be able to make the right choices down line with Him, but also being able to still, do great work. And then what opportunities will you have to grow, right? Because you can't
yeah,
grow if everything's already perfect and it's already set up exactly the way it needs to be. And life happens, things happen. COVID took out a whole bunch of businesses. If you had such a
yeah,
perfect business at that time and it was working that way, but then COVID happened and you weren't trying to figure out new ways to innovate and pivot, then what happens, right? And then now you're back to square one again. So at the end of the day, right, it's always important really just to kind of understand, like, there's things that you have to be able to to like be able to share about the journey, because people want to support, right, in
yeah,
that way too, right? And if you never tell people what you need help with, then you're going to be struggling in your own
yeah,
silence, right? Trying to figure something out when literally it could have been one call that helps you solve, a 10-hour job that you just did, and it could have been done in 20 minutes, right?
yeah,
So so those are the 2 weeks to create a couple of mock-ups. But I knew that if I wanted to scale and grow the business, I had to take myself out of that and trust other people and hire
yeah.
people that understand.
Made me think of a story recently with a story recently with a friend. She has a clothing brand. And she was facing some adversity with inside of the clothing brand with continuing funding. It's a seven-figure um, clothing brand, retail clothing brand. She's been doing it for 10 years. And when I saw she did a post about a month ago about a Kickstarter, my immediate response, girl, I'm sorry that you're going through this. However, I have faith that you doing this outside of your comfort zone, amazing things are going to happen. However, it's going to work out. Because the biggest thing about the biggest lesson I personally have had to learn inside of entrepreneurship is one, I don't know it all.
Hmm.
Two, there are people that are willing to work with you. Because even on the other side, I have a vendor that works with me in my event business, and she referred someone to me, and she's like, Jesse, I love her. So she watches the video, and me and her, we have honest conversations, and she was like, don't take it personal that I'm having these conversations. I'm like, no, like, but I'm here because I understand that there's things you can learn from me. But the whole thing with her, she had referred someone to me And the person was getting more bookings. However, this other person hasn't given me any of the things I keep asking her for. Who's going to, to kind of hoard information. And that was one of the things, like with your share, was like, made me think of that conversation. And we always have honest conversations anyway. So
Yeah.
she took what I said, and I also know like she's still gonna probably not share, but that's where she is in her leadership. And that is also a part of us overcoming, is like allowing ourselves to grow mentally and how we relate to people. However, going back to my friend that has the boutique, up to the last couple of hours, she was able to surpass the goal by $21,000. She was sharing her journey of pitching for people to, because it's a size inclusive brand and people, some investors don't want to do things for plus size. And so she was very transparent about this journey. And I was like, I know this is like, oh my gosh, it's almost getting me emotional right now thinking about it. But I was just like, I know this is going to work for you. I'm like, I don't know how it's going to. I know I can't personally are really buffering us from allowing blessings to happen in our lives or for us to grow in leadership.
She's never done before, right? And now that opened
Yeah,
up her mind even more to know that there's even more possibility out there to do other things and raise funding in other ways, right? If she
yeah,
chose to explore that. Um, and then the second thing behind the mindset is obviously, you know, what you speak into your life and the business, right, that you have, right? The other
mhm,
thing too is like, what are you telling yourself when it comes to your business, right? um
yeah,
and words are very powerful, right? At the end of the day. So if you're saying, oh well, this business is not doing well, right, and it's I'll never make it to this number, or this company will never make this goal, right? If you're already speaking negative energy into your business, then the likelihood of that happening is probably really high, because right, you already blocked off
yeah,
your mindset to say, like, I'm ready to receive, right? Being in a space of being able to receive like whatever it is that's coming to you in abundance, right? And that in itself, I feel like when you start looking at it just from, just a financial monetary aspect, then again, I understand finance does play a huge role in a lot of people's business, relationships, marriage, whatever human asset that you can trust and go through the process. Or if it's a strategic partnership and let's say you offer a service that they need, right? You guys
yeah,
could do an exchange of service, right? An exchange of
yeah,
service is the same thing. You're giving your time to help them with something, and they're giving their time to help you with something. But then now there's no financial capital exchange,
yeah,
but you now have learned and been able to do something that would have taken you way longer, and same thing for them, right? So again, just being open minded to realizing that there's way more than just the finance, right, when it comes to business, and
mhm,
knowing that there's an abundance. Like God's already equipped us with everything and the resources that we need. We just have to be very intentional in figuring out how do we piece all those puzzles together.
yeah. And one thing that I'm always reminded of with like even with what you were sharing is like what you believe is possible and what you believe is not possible is always going to be a reflection in your actions.
Correct.
So if you don't think that it really is going to work, we're not aware of how we're subconsciously, and then what happens is that one, you probably aren't going to do enough effort.
Yeah.
Two, you're not going to look at ways to improve. It's like you're just going to like, okay. And then three, you're just going to find proof that it's not working. So what happens is you just build up this case for it to not work. However, when you are in a space like, oh, this can work, then you'll be like, okay, all right, let me keep like we're not present to like how much our beliefs really dictate how much effort and energy we put towards the things we say that we care about, but we are mentally blocking ourselves from actually going after those things.
Oh, 100%. And I see it all the time. I talk to over 500 business owners a year. And
Mhm.
trust me, like it's insane as to like how many people have great ideas and they've started a business, but then because of this limited belief that they're not good enough or that they can't do something, or because they don't feel like they're qualified, or because they feel like nobody's going to pay for what they want to charge for their services, like they have literally stops them from being able to take the next step. I've had a
Yeah.
conversation. I can remember one conversation I had. One lady, she was trying to start basically this healthcare type business, and literally I had a few conversations with her. I even extended a free complimentary consultation with her as well, because I generally believed in what she was getting ready to do, and I generally don't do that as far as like giving extra time, because at that point I jam pack all my sessions with one. Like, you get so much value off of one call. So it's
Yeah.
for me, it's like, if I'm gonna give you another session, like I'm stepping out to tell you I really generally believe in what you're trying to do, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I went above me on and did that too, to the point where the third time when I called her just to follow, I'm like, hey, you say you're ready to make the next steps, you're ready to do this, right? And it was just like, oh, I'm out shopping, I'm like, so are you gonna take the next step?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know yet, and they were just kept coming with all these excuses. I'm like, if you this process the first time we spoke with you, you could be so much further than where you are now, where now you probably never started it, right? Because you just have this belief that, well, you know what, like, I'm gonna come up with whatever excuses to not do something that I know I want to do, that you're passionate. You keep going back to this, I'm passionate about this, I want to do this, I want to do this. But if you never take the first step, or at least the next step, then, as much as, we can jump in and try to support and help you, but it really starts with you, right? You're your own advocate. You're the person that is going to dictate what's going to happen next, right? In
Yeah.
your business, in your life, right? And of course, there's right. And I went to therapy, right? There's things that
Yeah.
I believe in, right? That, like therapy was a huge thing for me. And that's why it's one element that's built into my program, because I generally feel like as young adults, this next generation that's coming in, like, if we can help them understand what their belief system looks like, right? And sometimes that limited belief comes from you just basically a family member that told you couldn't do something, or a family member
Yeah.
that never has done something that you want to do, and they're only going to guide you in the direction of what's right.
Yeah.
And typically with parents, again, I had situations like my aunt. I love her to death, but for her, the idea when I told her, hey, I'm going into business for myself, I'm moving to another country to grow my team and start and like build my business. It was just like, why would you do that? There's no security in that. You need insurance, you need this, you need that. But she came from a background of, I'm going to stay at a job for 26 years. I'm going to work there no matter how bad it is. Benefits, and I can pay my bills and take care of my family. That's all that matters, right?
Yeah.
I'm coming from a generation where that's not the norm for me, right? I want
Yeah.
more than that. I want to feel respected in what I do. I want to be able to contribute the way I want to contribute. I want to be able to support people the way that I want to support them without the restrictions of having to worry about somebody else dictating if I'm able to do it or not, right?
Yeah.
So those are the things that drive me, even though somebody else had a limited belief. But if I just chose to take her belief of, no, just go back to work, just do that, and just work a full-time job and get your benefits, then where would I be now? I probably wouldn't have had a successful business, just choosing to go with somebody else's limited belief, which a lot of people do. And sometimes you
Yeah.
have to trust in yourself and know that you have the power and the resources and the capability to be able to do
Yeah.
right. So,
Yeah. But I'm glad that you mentioned that because, like, I feel that therapy is great. It's something I've definitely taken advantage of at different points of my life and career. And I've even done personal development seminars and things like that because mindset and mental health are very important. And it's even more important, in my opinion, when it comes to entrepreneurship, because you're almost every day triggering yourself in some kind of triggering whatever your trigger is, because we all have different triggers.
Yep.
so, so it's to, okay, this isn't real. Okay, this is what's really happening. And then realizing, like, how do you overcome that and see yourself for who you really were created to be and what you get to add value in this world as. And like, even with myself, someone asked, like, how do you do content consistently or whatever they perceive as that? I was like, well, the biggest thing for me is I no longer am attached to it being perfect. Like, legitimately, I see YouTubers that are doing videos of eating crumbled cookies in their car with bad lighting. Like, I I will never, yes, it's great to have certain types of stage lighting and things like that. And when I can, I will. And when I don't, I just do my best. And I think that letting go of the mindset of everything having to be perfect was something that I had to really embrace. And one of the things that I had to attack, even with mindset, is like my father was very hard on me with terms and vernacular and the way that I spoke. So I all the way up until legitimately probably 2016, I felt as if what is important when it comes to mindset. So the last question I would love to have you chime in on is like, for you, when it comes to mindset, do you do books, or what do you specifically do so that you're tackling your daily mindset or just growing, in that direction?
Yeah. So I guess I'll keep it simple. I love to sleep. So
Okay.
so sleeping is like one of my mindset mechanisms, I guess, just to be calm and relax. I can sleep through anything, honestly. I know some people can't, but sleep is like my go-to. But outside of that, really, it's just I would say hanging out with my family, my wife, my dog. Like they just make the days go by and just takes my mind off of things. And then also I'm very disciplined in like my schedule, right? I think that plays a huge role. I don't work Saturday and Sundays, so those are like no work days for me. I know as business owners, the way I look at it is if Chick can take Sunday off, every entrepreneur needs to take at least one day off to recharge, right? So I
Yeah,
take my
yeah,
2 days, and it's so important, right? Because with people first, right? Who are you, right? What gets you out of bed? Who are you, right? What gets you out of bed, right? What makes you happy? What activities do you like to do? Like, because before business is there's a human being behind that, right? Every
yeah,
single business came and started with somebody, right? And before
yeah,
that person started, they were somebody doing something, or that it motivate like something motivated them, or they wanted to do something better than what they saw before, or they had an idea. So for me, it's just exploring the person in general, right? If you can understand who you are, and being able to resonate with how do you deal with stress. And I rarely get stressed. I don't know how. Obviously, like I said, for me, I,
yeah,
I'm just one of those. I guess I'm an anomaly in my own way, but I don't really get stressed when it comes to life in general. I think because I've been through so much in my life that I just don't let it get to me as much anymore. Um,
yeah,
but yeah, sleep, like I said, finding things that you enjoy doing, and prioritizing that. Those are really
yeah.
important mechanisms, to, just really me. I'm on a website, and then for my company, WJJ Brands, I'm on a website, and then for my company, WJJ Brands, same thing. We own that entire page on Google. So you put that in, you're guaranteed to fall on something of ours, that you can connect with us on. But yeah, anyone who wants to learn more or connect, I would love to extend a free complimentary strategy session with anybody who's interested. Just fill out the form, let me know that you saw this, and I would love to pour into you and your business. And just like I said, I'm an open book. God's put me on this earth to share this information, so it's not for me only; it's for those that are around me. So, thank you.
Fantastic. And I'll make sure that I put his links in the caption or description of this video so that you're able to stay connected. So thank you all for watching this video. And as always, keep looking for more and searching for more. Alrighty.
Awesome. Thank you.
For more